right, so let's look at this little slide that says what successful agents do every day. Just to kind of recap that. So the goal of our time here is to model what successful agents do every day and show you how to do it. So it's not, it's not rocket science, but it's a lot of work, right? And it's the consistency that helps us be successful in this industry. So today we're bringing it all together to examine how successful agents structures their day. We'll be using what we've learned and practiced so far about growing and running our business to revisit our 411, update our goals, and develop an accountability system to achieve these goals. Okay, so here's our roadmap for the day. This is a brief overview in the day of a real estate agent, and we'll talk about how to grow your business, run your business, set weekly and daily objectives, create accountability, and we'll discuss our, our aha swim session. Mark, you totally don't have to listen all day if you find this very boring.
I'll keep listening. I'll turn off my video and do some work, but you got it.
All right, so people do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. So in the book, The One Thing, Gary Keller quotes F.M. Alexander, educator and thespian, who said this quote. So what does this quote tell us about how to cultivate success for ourselves?
Habits are like the building blocks to everything else you do in your career professionally and also in life.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. And the goal of today's session is to develop a plan for how to use your time effectively to fulfill this company mission. And it really is about habits, and habits are really those building blocks, right? It's that consistency again. So to build a career worth having, a business worth owning, and a life worth living, experiences worth giving, and a legacy worth leaving. That is the mission of our company. So start habits now that will ultimately create the future you want for yourself. By the end of this module, you'll have the tools that you need to update your 411, to time block your calendar, and develop an accountability plan with your accountability partner. And I do encourage that you do find an accountability partner, just so that you guys are on this journey together. All right. Okay, so next slide, overview. So what do you think agents do every day?
Lead generate.
Lead generate and run their business in the.
Ideally, right? That's what we're taught to do. So, at the beginning of the day, you should get motivated by reviewing your goals and your plan for the day. And motivating activities can vary. So choose activities that focus you and get you energized to win the day. Is there anything in particular that you guys do right now to motivate yourself?
Sometimes I'll go for a run in the morning to get the blood moving.
I try to wake up early and get on my computer, find early enough time where I feel like it's not already the day's halfway over and I hadn't done any lead gen or anything like that. Not that I really started all my lead gen yet. I've been doing all the learning, going to jump into that soon, but yeah, waking up early.
Right. Okay, great. So that's a good habit, right? Waking up early, going for a run. Meditation is a good way to kind of center yourself. There's this motivational guided meditation that I listen to in the morning just to reset.
What time do you wake up, and when do you start your day of working?
Well, that's something that I'm terrible with. Actually, I am not consistent with what time I wake up because sometimes I stay up late in order to.
Yeah.
But last night I was probably working until about 1:30, and I woke up this morning at 6:30. I had a early morning call, but yeah, every day kind of varies. But don't learn that from me. I should really have that.
1:30 to 6:30. Let's do it.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't recommend. I've already had 3 coffees today. All right. So, successful agents make time every day for the activities you've been doing during the daily success habits. Successful agents never stop lead generation and following up through phone calls, social media messages, writing notes, etc. Then they split time between other grow the business activities and run the business activities. Those 2 columns that see. So the timing for these activities depend on your needs and your schedule, but it's important that you include both run the business and grow the business activities in your day. Grow the business activities include making seller listing presentations, making buyer presentations, and previewing real estate. So let's see. So grow the business activities. Wait, no, run the business activities include marketing seller listings, showing buyer houses, negotiating contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management, setting goals, compliance and risk management, attending training and getting coaching, and managing money. So at the end of the day, agents look ahead and time block for the day. Your schedule can shift based on client schedules for listing or showing appointments, the market center's training calendar, and other items on your schedule. Remember to put your big rocks on your calendar first and then fill in other activities. Actually, I don't think you were here when we talked about big rocks. Brandon, do you remember? You weren't, right, Ashley?
No, I wasn't, but I watched the video after, so I have an idea.
Oh, okay, so you didn't know. Okay. So what are those big rocks?
Wasn't it just like the things that if you did those things, then it would make everything else easier or unnecessary?
Yeah, exactly. It's the one thing, right? Another way to refer to the one thing. So the big things that you really need to do that we probably like to procrastinate on, because you really need that to be there, and then fill the gaps with the other little things that we need to do. Otherwise, it's easy to do all these other little things and just place for the big rocks, like lead generation, right? All right. Okay. And why start the day with lead generation and follow-up?
It's like kind of I feel like it's the thing that requires the most willpower. It's good to do that in the morning and get that done. And then everything else is takes a little bit less of your energy mentally.
Yeah. And it's the core of our businesses, right? We need to lead generate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do the most important thing first.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
For lead generation and follow-up for you, like when you were starting out, I know like managing your database and adding contacts and doing outreach and relationship building on in your day-to-day life, but like what are some other ways that you generated leads in the beginning of your career? Because I feel like that's something that I'd like to dig deeper into, because I feel like a lot of these trainings I see like lead generation in the morning, but kind of some actual ideas, strategies that not necessarily are only based on your sphere, some other unique ways of lead generating.
Well, the thing is, you have to think about what works for you, right? What does your lead generation entail? Speaking with your sphere is one thing, right? But what else is in there? Are you hosting open houses? Are you out there networking with other professionals? Are you attending social functions in order to meet new people? Like that's a big thing, meeting new people as well to grow your database. So everyone does it very differently. In the beginning, I tried it all. But whatever comes more naturally to you or involves the least resistance is probably going to be good at and what you enjoy, right? I did everything. I did open houses. I door knocked. I cold call. Never cold call, I will say. I went to networking functions in order to meet new people. I went to every social gathering that I was invited to. You know, it's just a matter of building the foundation, because it's not necessarily, I mean, yeah, if you're lucky, you'll hit some people who have that need now, or know someone who has that need now, but it's also building the foundation of who is in your database so that
Mhm.
you interact with them and they can continue to follow you throughout your career, so that when they do have a need or know who has a need, that you're the first person they think of. Right? Like, I can't even tell you how many social things and networking things I attended in the beginning, and I thought I was going to die. But you know, for me, that was the easiest. That plus open houses were the easiest things for me to do, because I could be myself. Yes.
So you reached out to other agents and said, I can help run your open house?
Yeah. But you have to be top of mind too. Just as you are counting on people to remember you as a realtor, you need to be present in front of other agents too, so that they remember you, right? So in the beginning, I know it's different times right now, but I came into the office every day. So this is where I based my business out of. So anyone who was in the office could see that I was coming in every day, and that I'm reliable. You know, I was inadvertently proving that I was dedicated to this by showing up every day and working. You can see that. Right. And it translates to people in your sphere too. Yeah, I wouldn't model my lack of work-life balance from when I first started, for sure. But you know, when I was at social functions, weekend trips, my friends would see that I was on a laptop trying to send an offer or talking to my clients all the time. So they could see that I was dedicated to what I did. So it made it that much easier for them to, you know, remember to call me when they had that need. You know, it wasn't like that was something I had pre-planned. It just was. You know, people need to know and trust what you're doing, right?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. So the daily success habits are the foundation for growing your business. Now we're going to look at how successful agents incorporate the daily success habits. They're saying success way too many times. I'm going to have to change that word somehow. And into each day to achieve their goals. One of the ways they do this is by doing a 411 every week to turn their goals into daily and weekly objectives. All right, so revisiting your 411. Have you guys created your 411?
I think I did one briefly when I first joined, but I haven't put enough thought to it.
Okay. Yeah, revisit it again, because it's something that you want to, it's a way to kind of organize your plan, right? Organize your goals. So, and adjust if need be. So now we're in September. You want to start planning for the beginning of the year, right? Like, as my coach has been asking me, which is my homework, she wants to know how many listings I want to take next year, so that she can help me set a goal for what needs to happen this last quarter in order to make that happen, right? Because again, I'm sure you've heard many times before, like the results that you achieve now started 90 days before, right? So you need to always be planning, you know, for the future. So revisit your 411 in the participants guide for this module. You see this on page 3. So you can, I'd recommend that after the session that you work on that. And if you have trouble figuring out how to fill it out, there are plenty of videos, I'm sure, on KW Connect that will help you, that will guide you on how to fill that out. All right, so next we're going to examine how to turn our weekly goals into daily objectives by applying the 80-20 principle. All right. So The Pareto Principle, which we talked about last session that I taught actually, or the 80-20 principle, can help prioritize and focus you on what's important. So this Italian economist discovered that 20% of our activities yield 80% of our results. When our actions are not focused on the 20%, when our actions are not focused on the 20% that matters, we don't get the results that we want. The 80-20 principle may be counterintuitive, but it really works. The converse of the 80-20 principle is also true. 80% of our effort yields 20% of our results. So Stephen Covey analyzed, I don't know what they're saying. So they want us to picture this, they want us to picture a bucket. So we can only fit so much in our bucket, but how we fill our bucket matters. If we start by filling the bucket with sand, we won't have room for the big rocks and gravel. But if we start with the big rocks first, then we can add the gravel and the sand within the spaces left over, which we were talking about, right? So sand and gravel are the smaller things. These are the 80% that will yield 20% of results in life. If we start with the big rocks, our 20%, then we will get those things done and still be able to fit in the gravel and the sand. So note in the image of the 80-20 principle, we call the 20% effort our big rocks. Big rocks. All right. Okay. So turn to page 5 in your participant guide. In front of you. Okay, so what are the big rocks that make up your 20%? What will be
The lead generating would be one.
What would you consider lead generation for you?
Reaching out to my sphere, maybe sending like mailers or however best reaches your audience. To kind of market yourself and stay top of mind.
Okay, great. All right. Anyone else want to share? What happened to it, Brandon? Did you lose him? Oh no. Sorry. I didn't see you on the white screen. Brandon, what are your big rocks? How are you going to lead generate?
I want to start doing Facebook ads and that type of lead generation on top of the sphere and reaching out to people, email newsletters, social media. So I want to start doing ads.
Okay. I don't know. I don't think that's considered the 20% though. What else could you do that maybe doesn't cost money? Those are really the big ones.
Yeah, go to an open house, social media, and then reaching out to my network and going to social gatherings and always doing relationship building.
Okay, and then let's go to the next one. On page 5 of your guide, you should see this snow graph. So when developing your daily objectives, focus on how to measure progress toward the goals you identified. Identify targets that will facilitate your success by using these guiding questions. What is your goal? How will you measure your progress toward the attainment of each goal you set? Okay. For attainable, do you have the correct systems and tools in place to set you up for success? In the segment purposeful, is this goal in alignment with your weekly, monthly, and annual goals? And in this timely segment, when will these goals need to be accomplished? So you can translate your weekly goals into these daily objectives. Okay, my favorite part is this section, time blocking. So put your big rocks in your calendar. So time blocking is simply dedicating specific periods of time to specific purposes. It's putting the big rocks in our calendar and making a commitment to preserve that time. Some key tips for remembering when time blocking. Block the most important tasks, the big rocks, first. Don't try to block every minute of your day. And be careful not to confuse time blocking with indiscriminately filling your calendar. You want to be intentional about what you're putting in your calendar. Right? And you can ask yourself these questions to make sure what you're putting into your calendar as far as these big blocks go, fit your purpose, are in alignment with your goals. Okay, so where do you guys have your calendar?
I use my just my Apple calendar on my phone since it syncs across all my laptops and devices.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you can pull up your own calendars, you can do that now by entering time blocks of your big rocks, and that way you'll know when you're dedicating to your big rocks each day. And what you can do to help you stay accountable is include alarms and reminders that will help you maintain these time blocks if you're using a calendar app, for example. We talked about it in the last session that I don't even hear the alerts on my calendar anymore. So that's why I have to set alarms to remind me. My day is guided by many alarms going off so that I know when to move on to the next thing. All right. Okay. So then this next slide is in his book, The One Thing, Gary cites Dr. Gail Matthews, who found that individuals who wrote down their goals are 39.5% more likely to succeed. Individuals who wrote down their goals and shared progress reports with a friend were 76.7% more likely to succeed. So in the next section, we're going to look at how to use the accountability cycle to maximize our success. Does this make sense that, if you share your goals with a friend, that you're more likely to succeed? When has this shown up in your life before?
I'm pretty good at making excuses for myself to myself. So I definitely try to share my serious goals with my closest friends so that they can hold me accountable, because I otherwise let myself get away with it.
Right. Well, it's human nature, right? We're all guilty of that. Good. And a lot of life is about knowing yourself and how best to navigate your own flaws or your own ways, right? Okay, great. So next slide, be accountable. So accountability is a crucial part of achieving goals. When report to someone else. Grammar on this is not great. Okay, when you report to someone else what you've done to make progress on your goal, you gain more focus and motivation. Think about accountability as a process. It's difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you have to defend your activities to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused. So that accountability is about getting and using feedback. You must take time on a regular planned basis to meet with whoever is holding you accountable. Look at your numbers and refocus your efforts. Right? So again, it's about accountability as a tool for changing achieving results. Accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept. And accountability is an attitude and an approach. Right? It's very easy to fall off the wagon if you don't have someone who's holding you accountable. All right. So let's share your long, medium, and short-term goals. We can plan your check-ins. How often do you check in? What method of communication is ideal? And make a date. When and where will you need to check in? So do you guys have accountability partners already?
Unofficially, my closest friends are kind of like my accountability partners.
Typically we do have accountability partners within Ignite here, but I don't know who has been coming consistent to things. But you can still be accountable to each other as long as you have each other's contact info. So I would recommend that you have the office roster, right? So you can find someone who can be your accountability partner and share these goals with them, plan check-ins, and figure out when and where you'll be needing to check in, for example. And that's why people have business coaches, right? Like I have a business coach because I know that it will make me that much more accountable, seeing that, oh, I had homework, and she makes me answer the question, did you finish your homework assignment, every week. So it's painful to check the box no. So I'm more likely to finish my homework before my session. And I know that I'm meeting her every Wednesday. So you have that date set in stone. All right. Okay, so now we're going to, so now we're well on our way to building the habits that we know from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and this leads to success. So what are some ahas from this session?
I think the time blocking idea is really good. I guess my issue is that I have this, I guess it ties into the accountability thing, but I have this habit of kind of moving my blocks of time forward if it doesn't work out, and they just keep moving. So I guess, yeah, it would be helpful to get an accountability partner for that.
And sometimes just scheduling makes a huge difference too. I shared this last time, but when you start your day, or even the night before, actually the night before works a lot better. Because for me, but if I wake up late, then I've screwed up my entire schedule for the day. So, even if you're time blocking the night before, so on certain days when I know, oh, tomorrow's going to be rough, there's so many things that I need to do. What I do is I take my to-do list that's in my notebook and I put it all in my calendar. Or everything that I know that I have to do that day, I go ahead and just schedule within my Google Calendar, so that I know, okay, I need to wake up at this time in order to be able to finish all these tasks. And then it forces me to kind of look at my calendar and say, okay, well, there's no space in between, so I have to finish within this time. Otherwise, it's going to take away from this or take away from that. So, it's very. I mean, it sounds kind of mundane to live your life that way. I'll admit. But especially when you're beginning your business, it's very important to have that kind of structure just to keep yourself accountable. But you have to want that too. It depends on what you want. There's one day I really saw this in reality come to light for me, that one day I said, you know what, I'm just gonna lazy around and see where my whims take me during the day. And so I think, okay, I want to do this, and I'll go to this part of town. And I want to go somewhere else, I go to that part of town. And I would want to do something else, I'd go back again. And I thought at the end of the day, that was very inefficient. If I had known what I wanted to do in the beginning, I could have planned my route a little bit better, kind of like that, right? And of course, everyone needs days like that where you don't have a plan. But for the sake of efficiency, we all have the same amount of time in a day. It's just how you organize and use that time that makes a difference for the results that you get. Right? All right. What other questions do you guys have? This session is pretty short. I mentioned this before, definitely, definitely explore command, because command has all kinds of different functions that are very helpful, including the goal setting function. And then within the connect, there are all kinds of videos that you can explore and learn from. So just choosing even like one segment to watch per day can really help.
For the educational aspect of things, as like a new agent, what are some educational videos you would highly recommend that we get down, like that we really understand?
Well, I think at the very least, you should watch a listing presentation on KW Connect, watch a buyer consultation on KW Connect, just so that you can see what they look like. And it kind of dissolves kind of that anxiety with not knowing what it looks like. It's something to at least model after. Start there. I think that's a huge, that's a big block that you can get out of your mind, because I think fear of the unknown can really hold us back and make us very anxious when you're actually going on the appointment. And sometimes that can affect your lead generation too, because there's a part of you thinking, oh, what am I going to do if someone actually wants to meet with me? And what does that look like? So you don't want things holding you back either. But watch, I'm sure there are all kinds of scripts practice videos as well that you can watch on KW Connect, handling objectives or objections. So I think that'll be a good video to watch. And then just keep participating in the different classes that the office offers. And Lab Coats Agents has a lot of classes as well to kind of learn from other people. I really like panel classes where you can kind of learn how other people do things as well, just to kind of take those nuggets. But as I've mentioned before, the main thing is when you're watching these videos or attending class, you should implement one thing. Have one thing done after each class so that you're making progress and not just watching endless videos, right? Part of it is making sure you do something too.
Yeah, that was kind of my struggle. Is there's so much that I took away from each class that I've taken so far, and I get like this overwhelm of like which one is most important, and then I end up like not doing something. So focusing on one thing sounds like a good strategy.
Yeah. And at the end of the class, identify what that one thing and if you can, implement it right away. It can be, I remember in the beginning, someone mentioned that they have a Word document that is called Languages and Best Practices. That's genius. So I just made the document, and because I had made it, I knew that it existed. So every time I saw some kind of contract language that I thought was helpful to remember, so I wouldn't have to reinvent the wheel each time, I would go and bring that language into that document. Right? Just one thing that you can just easily implement each time. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, you guys, pretty much done. All right, well, I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for joining and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Bye.
So good to see you. Bye, guys.